Excellent, gentlemen. Again, I appreciate the time. All the bells and whistles, you guys have done 1,000 of these, so I'm just going to jump right into it for you.
Sounds good.
You both come from North Carolina, Cameron, one of wrestling's true blue blood states. With TNA coming back to Nashville, though, how much does this feel like a homecoming, not just for the company geographically, but almost spiritually, like coming back to the grassroots from where TNA started for you guys?
Yeah, it's very spiritual, man, considering like it all started at the fairgrounds here, man. And I remember like when we first jumped to Spike and went down to Universal Studios and started filming our shows, and to be here now in 2026 with this big platform, AMC, and it's just so exciting, man, to be where we are and to be back here where it all started.
It does. It does feel special. Coming back to Nashville, I associate Nashville with TNA more than any other city because that is where it started. They obviously spent a lot of time in Orlando, taping down there and whatnot. But I think it's very cool to come back here. Very excited to be in the Pinnacle, the new venue. I've heard nothing but great things about it. People have been beaming about it, talking about how great of a venue it is, especially for wrestling and concerts. So we're really excited, man. It's going to be a big weekend on Friday night, February the 13th. Myself and Jeff, we're actually going to be forced to team with the Righteous, who we've kind of had a rivalry with recently, and we're going to be taking on all of Order 4. So that's going to definitely make for an interesting evening for us.
So diving right into that, this tag team division right now is loaded. You guys mentioned the Righteous. You've got the System, the name is First Class. All of that, especially feel like, with the Righteous staring down the barrel at you guys leading that tag team division. When a powerhouse team like that is gunning for both the belts, does it sharpen the edge or does it just change how you prepare for a match, like going after the Righteous?
No, before I forget, another exciting thing about these shows, Leon Slater's going to be back and talk about the extreme heart and soul of TNA, man. He's the future of pro wrestling. But yeah, ever since we started working with the Righteous, man, I've dug it, man. And I guess I kind of dig what they've been saying. I've been wearing all white for the last few interviews I've done, so I don't know really what's going on. But yeah, it's just exciting to work with new teams, and there's something very, like a special vibe with the Righteous that we kind of get along with in a strange way.
I think those guys, their goal is to draw the essence of Broken Matt and Brother Nero out, and I think they want to get us out there in that environment, and that's where they feel like they thrive. So it's definitely going to be interesting, man. And AMC is a movie channel in general, as we all know, and I think that would probably be the perfect home to the first ever cinematic match on AMC.
That's another big deal too. I've been manifesting
the Broken
that.
Hardys versus the Righteous.
Yeah,
very special. Also, when you're talking about the tag team division, it is loaded up and stacked, and also the Great Hands, another strong team that are in there too with Order 4.
You brought up the Hardy compound, so it's become its own little universe inside of pro wrestling. Mm-hmm. How important has it been to have a space where creativity, family, wrestling, they all kind of come together and intersect?
As children, we used to rent big VHS camcorders and film little short movies, and we'd be fighting each other on the trampoline before we started the Trampoline Wrestling Federation, and just making videos. And and now we found ourselves adults doing the same thing, but in the pro wrestling universe on the Hardy compound where we were born. And it's my favorite place on planet Earth to be, and I feel something this year, something very special happening on the Hardy compound with the Righteous.
Same, and like you said, it is real cool too, because my kids get so hyped and excited whenever they're doing something. And my 8-year-old, I say, "Hey, Dad, am I going to get paid more this time? Am I going to get paid more?" And they're trying to politic one another to see who gets the most TV time. But it is fun, man. We're at home, and in 2016, when the whole Broken Universe stuff started, some of the most fun we had was working, and we never even left home. We did it right in our backyard, and it was so cool.
So that being said, though, now that TNA is on AMC, that means wrestling is canon in the Walking Dead universe. Yeah. Who's going to win in a fight, really, Negan or the Hardy compound?
We would love for some of the Walking Dead guys to come out. We've already said, we think it is a must whenever we do have another Hardy compound cinematic match. We've got to have some walkers just roaming through the Hardy compound. You know what I mean? We're trying to get them to get Gus Fring, and Walter White back together, man. Have Gus Fring and Heisenberg take on the Hardy Boyz.
And there's a few portals, if we find them, man, we might end up in Albuquerque again, who knows?
I mean, the Hardy Boyz versus, that would definitely put some butts in seats. That would definitely do it. Staying with the AMC stuff, what does it mean to you guys personally and professionally to see TNA Impact land on AMC? Is it like a validation, a reset for the company? Is it just something bigger as a whole for everyone? Like, how do you guys feel about that?
It made me feel like everything just made sense with my decision to come join Matt in TNA instead of staying with AEW. It felt like everything kind of worked out the way it was supposed to, and just over that first year that we were there, ending up on AMC, I was like, wow, this is crazy special, and I feel like we're a big part of the reason why we're on AMC, and that's a great feeling.
I mean, I love that you chose the word validation, because it did feel like validation too, because Jeff came and I feel like the momentum really shifted that night. Jeff returned against all odds and came back at the end of my match with Moose. And I'll never forget that Tommy Dreamer and a couple other guys in the office were saying it really like we had a ring full of stars. There's Matt Hardy, there's Jeff Hardy, there's Nick Nemeth, there's Joe Hendry, and everybody is like, the crowd's going nuts, and it really felt special. And just the momentum kept building and building and building, and our houses were getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And our big events, we set our 2 North American attendance records in 2025, which is very cool. We're looking forward to breaking it again this year. But the AMC thing is something Jeff and I worked really hard for, and we tried to lead by example in so many ways. I feel like it's a great locker room. Everyone is there for the greater good, and it's people are really selfless. They want the whole company as a whole to succeed.
I think the last time I'd watched TNA before Matt went back, it was when Nick Nemeth showed up, and I just watched that highlight. But then I had no idea that Matt was going to be returning there, and I just finished a workout one morning and came upstairs, and my wife said, "Did you know Matt was going back to TNA?" I said, No, I didn't. And I looked up the footage and saw it. I was like, "Oh my God, this is crazy!" And then text Matt, "Oh, how'd that feel?" And he said it felt great. So yeah, and Nick Nemeth and the Nemeth brothers tag teaming, man, it's been so great. And Nick going over to Raw and just killing it, man. Such a talented human being. So yeah, it's a lot of hard work we've all kind of put in to get where we are.
Yeah.
In wrestling specifically, it's been a long time since we've seen 2 powerhouses come together in the way that they have been here recently with TNA and those other guys in Connecticut, right?
Yeah.
You're actively working together. Given your history in both worlds, though, how seriously do you take it as the responsibility of bridging that gap between the locker rooms, having been inside of both, having been a major part of both companies?
Whenever we showed up at SummerSlam, there was a point where we ran into Nick Khan. He said, "Hey, I'm so glad you guys could make it, and this was great." And it was kind of to help build our match versus the Dudleys that we're doing at Bound for Glory. And he said, "Well, we want to make sure you feel comfortable here because this is your home. This is your home." I said, "Yeah, we are comfortable, and it is our home. Like without WWE, we wouldn't be who we are." And I think it's very seamless, going back and forth and doing things. And it is cool that gate is open, because the WWE schedule is so hectic and they're traveling all over the world. It's so go, live events every single week. We like the TNA schedule because it allows us more time at home. We both have young kids and spend time with our kids and our families, and there's other things we like to do. So it is nice that we know we can still do WWE stuff. Something happens and works out. And we've got a couple other things in the works that we're doing with them as well, which is going to be very cool. But it allows us to still have that WWE dessert, but then, make our main entree TNA.
Getting back to TNA and the locker room and everything, we've talked about the tag teams. You've mentioned some of the single stars. The locker room is stacked. How exciting is it for you to not just be in it, but to help lead a locker room of this much talent? You mentioned Leon Slater having a chance to come back, being a leader for some of these guys and kind of showing them what it takes to get to that next level.
Yeah, I think we've just kind of fallen into those roles, and I think we're cool with it. There's guys who will ask us almost whether they work with us or in a match before. So, hey, did you guys get to see any of my match? Is there anything I can do that would be different or better? Or if we're working with them, what are your critiques? How can I be better? What can I do differently? What can I, do to improve? And it is cool that people look at us to do that, and we do. We really have the best intentions on trying to help And the better we can build up the entire roster, the better it is for the whole show and the whole brand.
What's the excitement level like for the rest of the boys and the girls in the back since you guys debuted on AMC?
It's been high. I mean, there's a lot of people that have never had the opportunity to be on a major platform like an AMC, so they're doing it for the first time. So it's really cool, and their excitement over being on there is just, it's infectious.
One really cool thing about TNA as well too, we all do, all us believers, you know, we have a big prayer circle before every show, and it was cool when AJ was there this last time and he led the prayer, and it was just super cool for him to be there. He is such a superhuman hero in professional wrestling, and that was such a cool moment. But we do that before every show, man, and it helps.
Family, it like brings it
Yeah,
all
for
together for
sure.
sure. You bringing up AJ, coming into it, there's been so many greats. AJ, Cena, the Dudleys recently, the final table. You guys had a chance to close that chapter of your careers with them, everything you guys and Bubba and Devon have done together. Do you feel like going into that match and everything, that was the ending it should have been? Was that what you guys wanted and hoped with Bubba Ray and Devon?
I felt like it was pretty flawless on all ends, and I think I even was flashing back towards the end of the match, and just like our match at Madison Square Garden, the first ever tag team tables match, putting Devon through the table, and me and Devon hanging up there. Just so many memories for some big shows back in the day, and I think it was a beautiful ending to the Dudley Boyz career.
I was ecstatic.
Team
with the
3D,
match.
sorry.
Team 3D.
Yeah, either way.
Yeah.
I was ecstatic with the match and really happy with it. And the most important priority we had during that match was to make sure that we got Devon through in one piece, because he'd had the health issues in the past, and he had worked super hard to get into the best shape that he possibly could and to get clear to have this match, and we wanted to protect him throughout the match, and we knew we were going to have to carry the majority of the workload. Those guys hadn't been working a ton as it was. So it was a great feeling. When we came out, it felt like we were on a WWE WrestleMania. The crowd was so excited for the match. They were so hyped. And then once we got out of there, the crowd was chanting, you know, Hardys, Hardys, Dudleys, Dudleys, and then, you know, holy shit, and then, you know, this is awesome. And we had to actually start the match for them to stop chanting, which is the greatest compliment, because they were emotionally invested in what we were doing, and they had all this stuff they were wanting to do. When the match was all said and done, I felt like we layered in enough of the athleticism and the carnage of breaking tables, Jeff jumping off the big ladder. We did all those things where it made people feel like, wow, their match at Royal Rumble 2000, they did something very similar to it. But this one had like such an emotional investment, especially the end. We knew Devon, this was going to be his last match if we got him through it. But they absolutely surprised us that we had no idea they were going to do it when they both took off their boots. And then they gave us their boots, as opposed to just leave them in the ring. That was a really unique scenario. What'd you say after that?
Well, after what?
After they took off their boots and gave them to us.
Oh yeah, and we came in the back, and I was like, what? I didn't even know what it was. I said, is this a thing? And Matt said, it is now. And so it sure is.
Because, you know, it has been a tradition that guys have done where they've taken off their boots and they leave them in the ring, and that means that their career's done. But we had no idea that they were both going to retire as Team 3D. So it was a very, very cool moment.
For any idiot that thought that Swanton went wrong or whatever, that was a perfection example of taking care of a brother, like during a spot like that.
What Jeff is even referencing, I don't know if you had seen it.
I was watching live.
Yeah, great. I mean, so Jeff just like hit him with his leg, so the full weight of his body didn't go onto him, because, you know, he just, once again, we tried to protect Devon at all costs, and Jeff clipped his head a little
Somewhat
bit
of a sacrifice
on the
is what
rung.
it
So
is.
Jeff kind of
It was all
sacrificed
good,
himself
yeah.
just to make sure Devon was good.
That being said, Devon, Bubba Ray, they left. You guys seem to be in a renaissance, though. TNA has given you guys that renaissance. You're the reigning and defending tag team champions. Do you feel, guys, that you get that energy? Like, do you feel it? Do you carry it with you, or are you guys too close to the fire to even notice it sometimes? Like, being in that renaissance. Like, they say, like, you don't even know the good old days are there until they're gone. Like,
Right.
You guys are getting that second wind. Like, how does it feel to have that chance to run as deep as y'all have now?
It feels great for me, just because I've had the ups and downs in my personal life. It's all been pretty public, and so all those times that I had to get off, you know, whether it was like getting sober, every time it was like getting sober again. But now to be on the other side of this last comeback I've made, it just feels so great to have this opportunity to make all these other things that I've dreamt up in my mind to come true. And there's plenty of other things that I want to try to pull off before it's all over.
Something I learned probably, I don't know, 15, 16 years ago was learn to recognize the good old days when you're in them. You know, and that's one thing that I do. I realize this is a very special time, and like, considering I'm 51 and he's 48, the fact that we're still able to perform at the level that we do, and the fact that we have been given this opportunity to be put in this position to succeed by TNA is just great times. And this roster's been great. This is going to go down as one of the greatest chapters of our career, and I think it's inspiring to people that might think like, hey, well, I'm too old to do this, or I'm too old to do that. Like, oh, well, the Hardys, they're older and they're obviously beat up, but they're still kicking. You know, it's never too late, man. As long as there's breath in your body, you know, you can still move forward, man. You can still achieve things.
Do you think in a world of social media, the wrestlers today that are coming to that end of their career, they have more say or more aware of how they want to leave at the end of that story than they have been in the past generations, because you have so many outlets to tell your story now versus 25, 30, 40 years ago with some of the guys in the past generations?
That's a great question, a very unique question. And there's probably some guys that are a lot more fixated on it, that probably have like something in mind and they're trying to craft and forge their way to get there as it is. And there's probably a lot of guys that are just like being present in the moment and just trying to, you know, just enjoy the journey and see where it takes them or whatever. But that is an intriguing question. And I would say someone that is very detailed or very like scheduled or, you know, like blueprint oriented, they probably do have something in mind. They're like, well, this is what I want to do. I want to wrestle for 15 years, and then I want my retirement to be this, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, but these are the things I want to accomplish between A and Z. So yeah, and you do have great tools to do that, because there are so many outlets and so many different ways to express yourself and tell your story.
Yeah, I think even now it's more than it was in our earlier days. Like, living for the moment is kind of what I do every match, and I know that every match could be my last, and so we are completely living for each and every moment on this TNA run.
All right, I've got a couple more for you guys, and I'll cut you loose. Jeff, I'm going to ask you guys each a question about your life outside the ring real quick. You seem genuinely happy and healthy outside the ring. And what's it like being successful but also present, especially getting to enjoy life and the TikTok side of things with your kid?
Man, I never, I guess I never thought I would do it, but I ended up doing it. And I got my own TikTok. It's Enlightened Jeff Hardy. But my daughter has been in the TikTok dimension longer than me. But it's such great father-daughter time. Anytime she comes up and says, "Dad, you want to do a video?" And I said, "Yeah, heck yeah, let's do a video." And a lot of the ones dancing, I used to feel really cool when I danced. Now I just feel super goofy. But it's fun stuff. And it's a challenge, man, every time. So I love it. And the recent thing that we did with her little boyfriend, that was their idea. And we were just at the hotel. They were going from Ohio to Florida, and they stopped near us, and we had dinner, and we were in the hotel lobby, and they just asked if I'd want to be interested in doing a video, and I said, "Oh, of course, with y'all, I'd love to." And then they explained it to me and kind of directed it, and it was super fun. I really enjoyed the TikTok dimension and doing videos for it.
You're living your best life.
Yeah, man.
All right, now Matt, for you, after everything you've accomplished, everything you've been, all the titles you've won, there's a huge portion of the internet now that knows you as Gothic Baby's dad. How was that code switch? What was that like for you?
Yeah, it's the greatest compliment available in all ways. I'm very fond of that term. I dig it, and I tell my daughter all the time how proud I am of her. And much just like Jeff said, I'm very much present in the moment. I just do it a day at a time. I don't try to overwhelm myself. And I was so happy. We were off last weekend, and that is when it snowed. I was able to spend time with my kids, and they'd been wanting a big snow, and they got a big snow. It was North Carolina got a nor'easter, you know, so it was a hell of a snowstorm. So I was just glad I was able to hang with them, and much like you were saying about Ruby, his daughter, like, "Hey, Dad, you want to shoot this video?" Like, while my kids want me to do that, "Hey, will you go outside and play with us or whatever?" It's like, yes, because there'll be a point where they probably don't want to do that anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I try and take advantage of that every single moment. And my joke is with our daughter, I was like, "Listen, Gothic baby, You're like a pretty big deal, but when are you going to be big enough that I can just sit my old ass at home and you bring home all the money, all right? Let's get to that point.
All right, guys, one final question. This is my favorite question I ask every interview that I've ever asked. Every pro wrestler gets asked the same one. We're going to hop in the Wayback Machine. We're going to get in. We're going to go back to Cameron, North Carolina, into the 90s. Day one, match one. You're about to walk through the curtain. Current Matt stops past Matt. Current Jeff stops rookie Jeff. What do you give that person? What do you give that young man before he walks through that curtain for the first time? What information? What anything? What piece of like knowledge do you give that person before he goes through the curtain for the first time?
Current me, 2026 me, would say, look, I know you're young and you're invincible and you're indestructible, but look, whenever you're doing these moves that are going to bang you up in the future, like pick and choose. Use them at important times. Do them in important scenarios. Do them when they count, when it means something. And conserve your body as much as you can.
And I would say, go out there and wrestle this first match like it's your last match. And don't ever give in to drugs and alcohol. That's what I would say.
Excellent, gentlemen. I appreciate your time so much this evening.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. Thanks. That was a fun interview. Some great questions.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank
Very
you.
good.
Hell yeah.